welcome back to another episode of our Crusader Kings 2 series, Irish Spring. This is a Conclave, all DLC really series. Can't remember if I turned off Sunset Invasion or not. Really, it's not going to matter. I don't intend on really playing this series for a really extended period of time. This is only designed to help newer Crusader Kings 2 players get their feet under them. So if you're picking up here, basically what you can expect from this series is me going at a slower pace than what I normally would in a Crusader Kings 2 Let's Play, and going more in depth into my decision-making process and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, yeah, anyways, in our last episode, it's pretty eventful. We were able to catch both the Count of Ermumain and Des Mumain in plots to fabricate claims on our duchy. Both of them we were able to imprison. Unfortunately, at the time we did not have title revocation available to us. We got the law passed, but as you can see, our prestige is not high enough. You have to have at least 50 prestige to revoke any title. It doesn't cost you prestige to revoke a title. You just have to have that much prestige to revoke a title. So, in the process of gaining the prestige and getting the law changed, yada yada yada, this guy, who we had in prison, died, and his son took over, Earl Olav, who is also Norwegian. He's also 10 years old. We'd really, really like to kill him. So I guess we're going to start a plot to kill him. Unfortunately, we can't really get a whole lot of people into it at the moment. And then I think we will go ahead and move our spy master over here just to see, because right now we are his heir. So if he was to die right now, we would inherit his county, and we wouldn't even have to worry about having 50 prestige, any revocation, anything like that. So this guy is still in jail. He's 27. He's in fairly good health. So we're gonna just bide our time and try to wait and get some prestige. So one of the easiest ways to gain prestige is through war. But at this point, the only claim that we really have where we could get land for it would be to attack this guy. Who's the heir to Dublin? Heir to the county of Lagan. Who's the heir to the county of Dublin? County of Lagan. I don't want to. I want to see Dublin. Domhnall McMurchad. Who's Domhnall McMurchad? This guy. What's your current inheritance law set to? I always forget where to see things like this, but I want to see what his inheritance law is. So nobody's the Duke. Agnatic primogeniture. So he has changed over to primogeniture. So his oldest son will inherit everything. There will be no splitting of those titles. Speaking of which, have we not reigned? Oh, we have vassals with negative opinions of us. Okay. Well, it's not a huge deal right now anyways, because we only personally hold one county. But should we find ourselves in a position where we hold more than one county and have more than one son, we're going to have a decision that we need to make. So, alright, well, let's just unpause and start gaining some prestige. Okay. This Marshal, Mayor Ruman, is indeed going to back our plot to kill Earl Olav of Ermumain. So, hopefully, maybe a few more people might come on board with this. But right now, nobody wants to come on board. This would be the big win. Would be this guy right here. But this guy would also be big. But moral qualms, yeah. Alright. So we're just going to keep on keeping on. We're gaining 0.09 prestige a month. This would be really good if we could bag the white stag. That would solve our prestige problem right there. But probably what's going to happen is we're actually just going to lose 20 more prestige. Good news, my lord. We have received credible reports of a recent sighting of the great white stag in the province of Desmoumain. Saddle my horse. During a mission to try and fabricate a claim to a title in Ostrage, my chancellor has been murdered. So our chancellor, my cousin, has died. Oh, that stinks, because he actually still owed us favors. So we can go. We've got some options here. We could go with this guy. We can go with this guy. Yeah. We'll go with, I guess we'll go with you. I choose you, Pikachu. And we're going to just keep doing the same thing. Excuse me. Did we give our son some titles to try to get his prestige up? It doesn't look like we did. So we're going to give him designated regent. Now the whole thing here is this, okay. So when we die, he is going to inherit the gold that we have. And I believe he's also going to inherit a portion of the prestige that we have. Or maybe that's just whenever they're born, they get some of the prestige that we have. But anyways, we would like for him to start with a good amount of prestige on his own, because that will help with opinion. And it will help to offset that short reign penalty. So we're going to give him designated regent, which will give him a +10 to opinion to us, which doesn't really matter because he likes us a lot, or he should. It will also give him a salary of 1/10 of a gold a month and 1.50 prestige a month, which is pretty good. Now, if you give somebody designated regent, you can also award them another title. Now, if we were to give him cupbearer or high almoner or master of the horse, we couldn't give him another one of these. But designated regent is kind of out of a separate pool. So what I normally do is my heir, I load them up with designated regent and some other title to give them some extra prestige. So if we look through here, we can figure out which one gives the most prestige. That's really all we're concerned with. So master of the horse will give 5 opinion, 0.04 salary, and 0.8 prestige. Master of the hunt is the same. High almoner is the same, but cupbearer gives more prestige. So we're going to make him our cupbearer. And what that's going to do, you can see now he's getting 3.77 prestige a month. So he will not be in the negative for very, very long, which is good. Okay. How many troops do you have? 1.19, 1.7. Wow, he's got a lot of troops. Wonder, why do you have so many troops? Just probably the martial score. His martial score is pretty high. That martial score will really do it. It really will add up. Worrying reports have reached you regarding your marshal, Mayor Ruman. It seems he has been using your soldiers to extort money from the peasantry in Tuadmumain. So we can basically fire him, which we will gain peasant unrest for 3 years. Even if we fire him, we get a 10% local revolt risk, minus 50% tax modifier, and then we will not like him for 3 years, -15. He's no longer marshal, and we would lose 50 prestige. Or we can deal with this later, and what in the world? We can deal with this later, which will basically, we still get the local revolt risk, the tax modifier, and he still is abusing the office, so we still dislike him. Basically, the only difference is we don't lose the prestige, and he stays in office. I would like to deal with this now, because I feel like that if we ignore this, it's going to just compound the problem. But I'm going to deal with this later, because I want to get up to 50 prestige. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the one time that event has happened to me before, I chose to deal with it now. So let's see what happens if we deal with it later. Okay, we've got another hunt going here, so we'd really, really like to not lose some prestige. Oh, very good, very good. You spend weeks in the wilderness searching for any trace of your prey, but to no avail. However, you find that you rather enjoy being out in the wilds. All this daily physical activity, it makes you feel stronger. So we get a 20% chance to become strong. So 20% is not very high, but It could happen. I've seen it happen before. Okay, we did not become strong. And you've returned to court. The hunt for this elusive white beast seems fruitless, but there are many more things out there in the wilds. Maybe next time you'll catch your prey. So we're not going to lose prestige, which is good. One child lacks an education focus. This is our kinsman. We gave him a thrift education. He did pick up curious. He's also an idolizer and willful. So let's see what we can do here. Okay. Well, willful is good for martial. However, he also is an idolizer, so that kind of offsets. Curious is good for diplo, but he's also willful, so that offsets. Idolizer is good for learning, and none of this offsets that. So we could go learning. And then I'm pretty sure, it's been a while, but I think with idolizer, if you put them, what is it? I'm trying to think here. So if you put, I don't remember what, because you can assign educators with certain traits, and they can intervene on what these end up becoming. So like curious, we don't want to intervene on because there's a chance it could evolve into higher learning. Willful could evolve into, I don't remember either. So there's a few of them I do remember. Like I remember fussy can evolve into diligent. I do recall that, but I'm not remembering the other ones. And unfortunately, since I don't have the internet right now, I can't pull up the chart to help us with this. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to select that. So he's going to go learning. And then as his education goes, we're going to look for somebody with good education trait. Oh, you're Portuguese, so that throws you right out. I don't want to, could be a dutiful cleric, I guess. Yeah, we don't want him to become Portuguese. So we'll go with Kolob here. Alright, so we're up to -5 prestige. It's going to take a while, guys. It's going to take a while. So basically, we just we wait around and try to gain some prestige where we can. My liege, my mission to Rome has so far been a success. During my visit to the court of Pope Alexander II, so still the same Pope, but the prior things that we did to impress him have worn off. Also, he dislikes us even more now because we owe money to Jewish moneylenders, so we're at a -2. But after this, we should be at 13, so perfect. Yep. So we could gain prestige through war. That could be one way to gain some prestige. We could also gain prestige through a favorable marriage. We could gain prestige through... Well, you gain prestige through feasting. Unfortunately, you have to have prestige to gain from feasting. So, summer fair. I think we could gain a little bit of prestige from the summer fair. Just have to have 25 gold, which we have. We could also go on a grand hunt, which would give us prestige as well. So basically what we would be doing is we're trading gold for prestige. So I think that's what we might do. Let's go ahead and we'll try this. We'll try this. Normally, I would not... I think normally I would advocate more of a wait and see type thing, but I'm kind of interested in showing you guys some of the other stuff that you can do in the game. So we're going to lose 25 gold here, but we're going to go on a grand hunt, which is going to give us 0.05 extra prestige a month, which, to be honest, isn't that much, but it adds up. So we'll go on a grand hunt. I've given order for a grand hunt to be organized in Tuan-Mumain. I will find the white stag. So here we go again, hunting again for the white stag. Sighthounds thirsted for blood this gentle afternoon, and they brought us many hares, so we gained 5 prestige. This is a fine sport. I am such a good hunter that I do not always need my retinue when I hunt. There's a large pack of wolves ahead and they look hungry. So we can say I need more warm pelts for the winter. We have a 50% chance to not have any trait action. We have a 10% chance to become diligent. A 25% chance to become wounded, which would be, okay. Because scarred will give us more prestige. We have a 10% chance to become maimed, which would be terrible. And then a 5% chance to die. And we're going to gain 20 prestige. If we do this, we become craven. So we don't want this. We're going to do this. Diligent would be great. Wounded, so-so. I mean, it's okay. Maimed would be terrible, and dying would be bad as well. But we do need to gain the prestige. And craven would be very bad. So here we go. Okay. Did we become diligent? We did not. So nothing happened, which is, we did gain 20 prestige though. So we're halfway to 50 now. Grand Hunt is over now. This was a truly noble endeavor and a true challenge for our martial abilities. We gain another 10 prestige. I'm proud of my hunting abilities. So, hey, that worked out, right, guys? We're up to 37 prestige now. My prisoner, Earl Tadg of Desmumaine, is complaining about his dark cell in the dungeon, asking for more suitable accommodation. So what we can do here is we can say, all right, let him rot. Nothing changes at that point if we let him rot, which is what we're going to do. But I will explain the rest of these. So we can opt to become merciful. We say, very well, I shall be merciful. And we put him under house arrest, which basically the only thing that does, it kind of lets him out of prison, really. And he would just have a -5 to diplomacy. We could say suitable. How about the oubliette? And we throw him in the oubliette, which would basically, if you throw somebody in the oubliette, you're just trying to kill him off, because that gives him a -2 health and a -20 diplomacy. And if we release him, he would owe us a favor. He would be released from prison, and he would like us by 3 more for 30 months because we released a prisoner. But we're going to let him rot because we're pretty close to having 50 prestige to revoke that title away from him. Maybe after we hold this summer fair, we'll be able to do that. So we can have a summer fair. It looks like May. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. Still, nobody else will back the plot. It's to be expected. Okay, we have another. This guy's doing some really good work for us. He must be pretty good. He's decent because he's making the Pope like us, which is good. Perfect. That's 28. Good. So we're gonna wait till May, and then we're going to have a trade fair. Your marshal, Mayor Ruman of Lumnich, has put forward a plan for experimentation with new military technology inspired by a supposedly brilliant inventor and engineer that he has recently befriended. All that is needed is a little funding. So generally this event, what it does, if you do it, is that you give some gold and you get some military technology points down the road. So I think that's worth it. Anytime you're exchanging gold for tech points, go for it. So if we do it, we lose 30 gold. But like I said, we'll probably gain some military tech points down the road. If we don't do it, well, then we disappoint this guy by a little bit, and we don't get the tech points. So let's do this. Boom. Tech is always worth spending for, in my opinion, unless you're just absolutely cannot afford it. I mean, don't go negative for that event probably, but otherwise, I think it's definitely worth doing. Oh, time for the trade fair. The Armored Chariot. Okay, so this is the follow-up event to what we just did. You receive a report from the outcome of the military experiments that your marshal asked you to sponsor. Apparently, a large steel-plated chariot was constructed, propelled by 10 men inside it, pulling forward, directed by a commander peering out from a revolving turret mounted on top. This vehicle also had several ballistas firing through arrow slits. Unfortunately, its weight caused a wooden bridge to collapse when crossing, and the invention was lost in the river, also killing the engineer. The marshal himself barely escaped this life. Oh, well, we actually lost military tech points this time. I've never had that happen before, so I've learned something. We lose 10 military tech points, and 3 options can happen. He can become wounded, maimed, or 50% chance, no effect. So let's see what happens. Okay, nothing. All right, let's do our trade fair. Summer fair. Boom. 25 gold. We're going to be gaining prestige while the event's happening. I've given the order that a summer fair should be held in Tuad Mumain in this summer. This should make the peasants happy. Which is good because our peasants are wanting to revolt against us. An errant monk is disturbing the summer fair by preaching about sins and the end of the world. His drivel is frightening some, but most of the crowd around him is mocking him and laughing at him. So we can say it's just another part of the entertainment. We lose 5 piety, and the bishop gets irritated. We can kick him out. He's not belong to summer fair. We would gain 10 piety, and the peasants would become even more upset for a year, and we'd gain some revolt risk. Well, to be honest with you, I don't want any more revolt risk. If we were at maybe 0 revolt risk, I would say probably do this. But because we're already at 10% revolt risk, I'm going to go ahead and lose some piety here. And pause. Give me that prestige. Marshal Mayor Ruman caught the peddlers selling stolen goods red-handed, so we can excuse me. We can execute them publicly, which would give us for 5 years minus 10% local revolt risk, but there's a 25% chance we could become cruel. Cruel would give us intrigue, morale damage, minus vassal opinion, minus diplomacy. Seize his goods and lock him up. We can gain 5 gold. Well, I'm going to go with this because we have a 10% revolt risk, so let's lose it. And if we become cruel, that would be bad, but wouldn't be the end of the world. Okay, we did not become cruel. The peddlers are loading their wares, and the merchants are taking down their stalls. The jugglers, strolling players, and the other entertainers are preparing to leave. Summer fair is over for this year. So we gain 10 prestige. Oh, it's going to get us over 50. Yay! And now we can go to our prisoner here. Or we can just click here, right-click him, revoke. And you see, revoke the county of Desmond. This will lower his opinion of you by -60. Since he is a traitor, our vassals will not object. Send. And now we are in charge of both of these counties. Now, we're not going to be getting... actually, yeah, we should be getting the troops. Yep. Our max levy now is 2,500, guys. 2,500. And we can still get 400 from this guy. So, but we're not gonna stop trying to get this county, because as you can see, we pretty much gained about, what did we gain? About 1,000 troops from taking this one. So if we gained 1,000 more, we would be up to about 3,500 troops, which would be really awesome. And then, so what do you got now? 2,000 troops. So he has less than us, but still a threat. We probably would not want to attack him right now. Well, I don't know. How much? Yeah, they both don't have very much martial. See, if he had more martial, his troop count would be so much higher. But 4 martial is terrible. Terrible, terrible. All right, what's our retinue look like? 368. So we're going to start with a light skirmish retinue, and let me explain why. So the way that retinue works is you have a thing called retinue cap. And your retinue cap is a number of points that you have in your retinue bank. Different kinds of soldiers cost a different amount of retinue points. So, at one end you have like light infantry and archers, which don't cost much at all. It might be like 1 for 1. 1 soldier for 1 retinue point. It's because they're so weak. On the other side of it, you have special units like knights or camel archers or things like that that cost a lot of retinue points for just 1 unit. Now, that's not to say that you should just load up on the things that are cheap, because it's good to have a nice diversity to your army. If your army only has light infantry and archers, you're going to get wrecked by certain unit types. You're going to get wrecked in certain phases of battle. So generally what I do, though, is early in the game, normally number of troops is more important than the composition of the troops that you have. So normally my first retinue or two are going to be the retinue where I get the most bang for my buck. I get the most troops for the least amount of cap. And if we look here, so we've got a few different kinds of retinues that are available to us because we're Irish. Some retinues are available to everybody, but usually most places will have a retinue that is only available to them in that area. And it's normally the one at the very bottom, and it normally is really expensive. So let's look at the different retinues that we can have because we're Irish. All right, so we can create a shock retinue, and retinues always start out fairly close to empty, and then they reinforce over time up to full. Something that's worth noting about retinues is that not only do you have to have the cap, like the cap points, available to hold the retinue, but you also have to have an amount of gold to hire the troops in the first place. And then once you've made the retinue unit, you don't have to pay that initial sum anymore unless that retinue gets wiped out. And then the only thing you have to do is pay for the reinforcements, which is it can be pretty expensive if you have a lot of retinues that are missing units. So it says shock retinue, almost empty but reinforced up to the specified size. And we can see shock retinue is comprised of 200 heavy infantry and 50 archers. It says cost to create 98. That means 98 gold. And retinue cap usage 700, projected monthly cost 0.17. And if we look over here, we can see, I thought we could see what the individual retinue points were worth, but maybe that's after you formed it. Okay, we have a defense retinue, and it's 250 pikemen, 50 archers, costs 84 gold, retinue cap usage 600. Then we have cavalry. So starts out almost empty, yeah. Heavy cavalry 50, light cavalry 200. Costs 126 gold to create, takes 900 cap usage. That's because heavy cavalry. Light cavalry is expensive. Heavy cavalry is super expensive, but that's because it's a really good unit. Skirmish retinue. 200 archers, 50 heavy infantry, costs 77 gold, 550 retinue cap. Light skirmish. 150 archers, 400 light infantry, 81 gold, 580 retinue cap usage. So like that's 580 points for 550 soldiers. As you can see, that's almost 1 for 1. And then we have gallow glass. Now this is the Irish specific retinue. It's 200 heavy infantry, costs 84 gold, 600 retinue cap usage, projected monthly cost 0.15. So. And we get our retinue cap number from our realm, which realm score 27. So, and they get that number from how many holdings our realm encompasses. So our realm currently is 9 different holdings. We have 3 counties, and each slot, let me show you. Each slot is what's called a holding. So each filled slot, empty slots don't count. So you can see this is Desmoumain. And we have the capital. So we have a castle, we have a bishopric, we have a city. So that's 3 holdings. This is empty, so it doesn't count towards the total. But we could build something here, it just costs a lot of money. Then we have 3 more holdings. We have another castle, a bishopric, and a city, and an empty holding that doesn't count. And then just as you would suspect, the same thing. Castle, bishopric, city. So that makes 9 total holdings under our duchy. So that's where they get the holdings number 9. And then each holding gives 3 cap. Then we also have buildings that give us retinue cap, so 40. And then from technology, we get plus 450%. That's why military organization is such an important technology, is because that's where that technology number comes from. And then... so that's where you get the total of 368. So, yeah. But the very first one we're going to be going for is going to be this light skirmish retinue because you get your most soldiers for the least amount of cap. Probably our first 1 or 2 retinues will be light skirmish, and then we'll switch over to something like, probably something like this shock retinue to start throwing in some heavy infantry. Just we'll slowly start to broaden this out. Okay, well, I guess that's probably a good place to put in a cut. And in our next episode, I don't know what we're going to do with this guy. I mean, even if we don't succeed in our plot to kill him, which we probably won't, he will more than likely not like us, and he'll probably end up trying to fabricate a plot on us. So, yeah. Oh, he has a strong... Really? We could press his claim on Osrage. Interessante. And then what we could do is we could actually, we could probably revoke this title. That might be what we do, because he has a strong claim on Osrage that he's fabricated. Yep, we could claim Osrage for him, and our council would back it. Why not? Too strong. Too strong. Ah, okay. So they're voting against it because they feel like he is too strong for us to take on. Which, you know what? Right now we probably wouldn't attack him, but we'll see how we feel once we have the maximum number of levies in our domain. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. As always, if you have any comments or concerns or cries of anguish about Crusader Kings 2, feel free to leave a comment below the video. Until next time, game on.